So if one has been the perpetrator of trauma, how does one find a positive experience in that?
One does not. One needs to go through that whole dynamic. Now, you have to also understand you can be the perpetrator in a certain dynamic, and that comes from a soul contract. That comes from a dynamic. You agreed to play this part in this other person's life in order to give them this experience, and in order for you to have this experience. Mm-hmm. All right. And so, yeah, now you have all been the aggressors as much as you have been the victims. And those of you that are in female bodies right now, that are in feminine bodies, have carried through a dynamic of what shall we say, a rejection of chauvinism, a rejection of the masculine paradigm that is one that is bringing things more into balance, bringing things more into understanding. You know, it's so important now that you begin to at least work upon beginning to integrate the left and the right hemispheres of your brain. The right hemisphere of your brain, which works down in the left side of your body, the left hemisphere of your brain that works down into the right side of your body, the left hemisphere being the masculine, the right hemisphere being the feminine, both being needed. In the dynamics of creation, in the dynamics of manifestation, the right side, we know you've heard this before, but we're going to repeat it again. The right side of the hemisphere of the brain is the creative side, is the dreaming side. It comes up with the new ideas, but it has to pass those new ideas, those dreams, over to the masculine, the magnetic on the feminine side, being passed over to the masculine, which is the electrical, which actually can bring things into physical manifestation. But in order for those physical manifestation to be understood, it has to go back over to the feminine in order for it to be integrated.
So I saw a parallel with our bodies, and that the feminine is the egg there, and then the masculine brings that in when it joins the bait.
Too primitive.
But then the feminine has to push it out into the world.
Too primitive.
Too primitive? Okay.
It's much more complex than that.
Well, it's just an analogy.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing about it is if you get too simplistic, you lose the depth, the meat of the dynamic. You know, a lot of times we like to give you the energies of the core of things, and you realize you have the basic core, but it doesn't all fit. So you have to kind of think about it for a while. You have to absorb it in order to really begin to make the connection. But once you make the connection, it's like a light bulb goes on. And there's a whole realization that the way that you have been operating on an unconscious level can now be brought to your consciousness, can now be brought to your awareness. And you say to us, you have often said to us, well, how do I tell which one? And we say, which one hurts the most?
Which one?
What hurts the most? If there's something in your life that hurts, deal with it. Don't avoid it. Don't stretch it out. Don't procrastinate, because you're just procrastinating that feeling, because it's not a real emotion, that feeling of discomfort, that feeling of pain. But so often you will utilize that negative feeling as a justification for any number of behaviors.